What's up, rock stars? Boom! Hey, hey, hey! So today's saint of the day for June 16th, 2026 is Saint John Francis Regis. Born January 31st, 1597 in France. Died December 31st, 1640 in France. It was at the age of 43. He collapsed after hearing confessions in the snow. I'm assuming he collapsed in the snow after hearing confessions. He could have been hearing confessions in the snow, but I'm willing to bet that he collapsed in the snow after hearing confessions, but who knows? Feast day, of course, is today. He was canonized in 1737 by Pope Clement XII. Religious order, he was a Society of Jesus, which is the Jesuits, confessor, missionary, preacher, social reformer. So, early life and formation. John Francis Regis was born in January 31st, 1597, as I said, in Languedoc region of southern France, into a noble family of deep faith. From his earliest years, he was marked by a seriousness about eternal things. Legend says that at just 5 years old, he fainted hearing his mother describe the horror of eternal damnation. That sensitivity to souls never left him. He was drawn to the Jesuits and entered their nobilitate in Toulouse in December of 1616 at age 19. During his formation, he became known as the Angel of the College. His superiors noted that they never once caught him in a breach of college duty. He studied philosophy and theology, taught in Jesuit schools for 7 years, and was ordained a priest in 1630. At his first Mass, those present said he looked less like a man at the altar and more like an angel, his face streaming with tears. From 1631 onward, John Francis threw himself into missionary work across Languedoc, and finally the rugged Valais region in central France, some of the most remote, hardened, and religious neglected territory in the country. These were the areas where Calvinism had taken deep root, where ignorance of basic Catholic teaching was profound, and where vice and poverty went hand in hand. He worked summers in the cities and winters in the mountain villages. The exact opposite of what any sensible person would choose. Yes, he walked through snowstorms to reach isolated hamlets. He slept on hardened benches or bare floors. He lived on bread and water, wearing a hair shirt, fasting constantly. Witnesses describe him preaching from atop a heap of frozen snow in the middle of the forest. His audience gathered around him in bitter cold, staying until he was done. Miracles, opposition, and death in the snow. Miracles followed him. A blind boy regained his sight in the room next to where John Francis was praying. A 40-year-old man for 8 years was healed when John Francis made the sign of the cross over him. Corn he stored for the poor was miraculously multiplied 3 times, confirmed by 14 witnesses in his canonization proceedings. He also faced fierce opposition, false accusations, public reprimands from superiors, beatings from soldiers, and censure from peers. Interesting point there is, want to just point out real quick, is that some of the saints, if you study them and look back and as I share these, there'll be some of them that actually get reprimanded from their superiors. And while they're becoming a priest, they are to, part of that is they have to show reverence and have to basically follow whatever their superiors, their leaders, their bosses tell them to do. But a lot of times you will see that the saints, they are not going against the church per se, but some of the things that individuals that may not be fully holy or as fully devoted to the church or to the Bible, the Gospels, as they should be, will say things, and some folks will actually, some saints, when you read about them, you'll be like, wait a minute, they were being, they weren't being subordinate to their superiors, but their superiors may not be the most holy people. So I just wanted to share that because I find that interesting, that really these are folks that are truly following God and are special role models for us. He accepted every humiliation without complaint or self-defense, trusting that God would vindicate him, and each time he was. He died as he lived on December 31st, 1640, after spending an entire night hearing confessions in the freezing mountain chapel of La Louveciennes. He collapsed. He was 43 years old. He had asked his superiors for permission to go to Canada to evangelize the Hurons and Iroquois to die a martyr's death. The permission was denied. God had other plans. He found his martyrdom in 10 years of winter mountains, an empty stomach, and confessional that never closed. Key contributions: dedicated 10 years of missionary work to the most remote and most religiously neglected regions in southern France. Converted thousands through simple, spirit-filled preaching that surpassed polished rhetoric in reach and lasting effect. And as I said, he died at 43 after a night of confessions in freezing mountains, later named patron of social workers, which is awesome. In summary, St. John Francis Regis was the saint for anyone who wonders whether ordinary, unglamorous, exhausting service actually matters. He wanted to go to Canada and die dramatically for the faith. God sent him back to the mountains to hear one more confession in the snow, and then one more, and then one more, until there were no more. On his feast day, June 16th, let's ask St. John Francis Regis to pray for everyone doing the hard, hidden, unglamorous work of serving others. The social workers, the chaplains, the volunteers, the ones who show up when no one is watching. St. John Francis Regis, pray for us. Hopefully you got something from this. I will be sharing another Saint of the Day tomorrow. If you have any questions or anything, please reach out. Love to have conversations with folks, and that's how we learn and that's how we grow in our faith. Have an awesome day, and hey, share your smile with the world because it just might make somebody's day.